Hey everyone, welcome back to IT Samurai Teacher. My name is Sheikh Abdul. Today I'm going to show you how to take your old SSD card from the old laptop. So if you have old laptop, just get it and let's take it out the SSD card and put it into your Raspberry Pi 5 and we'll configure to boot it up from the Raspberry Pi 5. The only thing you need is you need to have your Raspberry Pi 5 and adapter for NVMe for the SSD card. So I brought this Geekworm X1001. So this one I already created unboxing video and how to configure. So please go check my previous videos how to assemble on my Raspberry Pi 5 and more detail about these two. Now in this video I'm going to take out this old SSD, NVMe SSD card from my laptop and put it here and configure. So let's do this. Okay, let's take out the SSD card. I'm going to do a screwdriver. Okay, I took it out my NVMe card from my old laptop. You can see this is a Samsung. You can see in here PCIe NVMe, it's old one, 256 GB. And you can see Samsung Electronics, product of Korea, and everything in detail. So you can see the DC 3.3 watt and 256 GB and PCIe NVMe. So now let's see, put into our Raspberry Pi 5 with Geekworm adapter and configure. Okay, I have my Raspberry Pi 5 and the Geekworm NVMe Shield configure already. Next, what I'm going to do here is get your regular SD card and put it here. And make sure you install the Raspberry Pi OS on this SD card. If you don't know, please check my older video. I will show you how to configure the Raspberry Pi OS to your SD card. So it's going to boot from this SD card the first time, right? Because you didn't configure anything. So it's going to boot from your SD card. Probably you have a new one or maybe you have old one. Just put it in and boot it up. Before you boot it up, you need to plug your new NVMe card, which you got from the laptop. So this is my Samsung one. I'm going to put it over here. And just, you can see that the one is called PCIe NVMe. There's another one called EN600. So for the next video, I'm going to show you how to configure this. For now, for the laptop one, I'm going to put it back here because you can see it's going to fit on like that, and you need to put a screw here. Get a screw. You need to oops, I think I dropped that. Make sure you screw it, otherwise your NVMe card can get loose and the data can be disrupt. So make sure it's secure connected. You can see now the NVMe card secure connected and the ribbon is already connected to the NVMe board. Now let's boot it up from the SD card and see. Okay, now we boot our Raspberry Pi 5 Now first thing we need to do is the check if the PCI interface is enabled. So if you want to check LSBLK, now in here we can see PCI devices are connected. So this is a list of block devices connected to my Raspberry Pi 5. Normally, if you want to find out the NVMe drive recognize this Raspberry Pi, we can see usually this label NVMe 0N1 like this. If it's listed like this, that means that your Raspberry Pi is recognize the NVMe drive. Now the other thing I want to show you, this MMC BLK01 is my SD card. This is the SD card I boot. Now how you need to recognize, you can see in here boot firmware. So that's mean just take a note that boot firmware is my micro SSD card, and Raspberry Pi already identify my NVMe drive. You can see 256 GB. Now there's another option you can use to recognize the code command is lspci. Now in here you can see a bunch of information. I'm going to find this one. Okay, you can see memory controller, Samsung Electronic NVMe SSD controller. So this is the one I've shown you. This is the control SSD controller card I removed from my old laptop. You can see. So that's why it's good to read when you take out your SSD card which manufacturer, so you can get a clear picture, clear understand, okay, this is the one. It's already connected to my Raspberry Pi, and it's already identified as the SSD NVMe SSD. You can see Samsung Electronic, that's my NVMe SSD controller. So there's also a plus point, and we are confirm our NVMe SD card is identified by Raspberry Pi 5. Now next, actually first we need to ensure that our Raspberry Pi runs the latest software. So let's update our Raspberry Pi 5. I'm going to type sudo apt update. Okay, it's already finished. Now we are done, and I'm going to give a reboot, sudo reboot, and we'll be back after this reboot done. Okay, it's booted up. I log into my Raspberry Pi 5. Now let me try again lsplk to make sure. You can see it's booting from my SD card. This is my NVMe SD card. Next, we already updated. Next, what we need to do is ensure that your Raspberry Pi firmware is up to date. So let's see what firmware we are running. We're going to type sudo rpi eprom update. Now if it's your old Raspberry Pi, you didn't have an old firmware, probably you will get something, but the bootloader is up to date, current version Friday May 17th, because I already run updates, so it's up to date. Everything is up to date. You can see this. Now next, what we're going to do, we need to update the bootloader version. So we're going to type sudo rspi config, and now we're going to, under advanced options, we're going to select A4 bootloader version. Okay, and we're going to choose latest, use the latest bootloader image. We're going to enter hit, and it says latest version bootloader selected will be loaded at the next reboot. Reset the bootloader to default configuration. We're going to hit click yes. and it takes few seconds. After that says boot reset to default configuration, hit OK. Now you will come back again. Don't press escape, try to press tab, and it will go to finish and choose enter, and it say would you like to reboot. We're going to say yes. Now my Raspberry Pi going to reboot, and after that will be jump again. Okay, I jump into my Raspberry Pi 5. It's already rebooted. Now next thing, I want to make sure the firmware is up to date, the latest version, because we changed the bootloader version. So I'm going to type again sudo rpi eeprom update. I'm going to type a this time. So bootloader up to date. So the firmware is up to date, so we don't need to be worried. Just want to make sure that I am running the latest version. Now for this, now if you have the NVMe card, if you want to do it format, if you have external like external tool to connect to your Mac or Windows computer, you can do it like that. Just format and install the Raspberry Pi imager. Right, normally what you install into SD card, you can normally install that from the Raspberry imager from any machine, or you can do a flash your NVMe card inside the Raspberry Pi OS. Now I'm going to show you that. So normally what we're going to do is we're going to do we're going to clone. Actually, we're going to clone this. Okay. So you click the applications tab, and we go to the preferences. No, actually, we're going to accessories, and you can see SD card copier. Now, actually, what this do is we're going to clone, like copy from your SD card. So this is your SD card because this is the OS running, right? So this entire thing I'm going to copy to my NVMe drive, my Samsung, my laptop SSD card, right? Because after I clone all these configuration settings and everything to my NVMe card, after that I'm going to boot from here, right? So now I'm going to click new partition UUIDs. Before that, I'm going to show you LSBLK. I'm going to show you how many partition I have. Right, I have 2 partition, and you can see a boot firmware, everything like that. So what I'm going to do is from the SSD copier, I'm going to create new partition UUIDs, and I'm going to start. Remember that this from is my micro SD card running the Raspberry Pi OS colon to my NVMe SD card. I'm going to click start, and this will give you, this will erase all the content on the device. Samsung, are you sure? Because I make sure you, if you want to keep the files, make sure backup, otherwise hit yes. Now this will take time. Once it's done, we're going to jump in. Okay, it's done. I accidentally hit that complete button before I record it, so my apologies. Once it's finished, it will show you it's completed, like option 1 and option 2, it's completed. Now next thing what you need to do is, we have same OS from running my micro SD card to NVMe drive. So both now drive has the same OS. Now we need to boot from the NVMe, not the SSD. Now if I go back again, so you can see in my Raspberry Pi, it's a mount point, it's boot from my micro SD card. Now I have all the information, all my Wi-Fi settings, everything copied to my NVMe. That's so cool, right? We don't need to do anything. So everything's there. Now I need to boot from the NVMe, get that booster speed, a lot of benefit for the Raspberry Pi 5, right? So what we need to do here is the last step. We're going to sudo Raspberry Pi config. Now I'm going to bring up my terminal again, and we're going to type sudo rspi config to open the Raspberry Pi configuration CLI. Now under advanced option, choose boot order. You can see the boot order. Now in here, to choose NVMe USB boot, then exit, and after that finish it. That's all you need to do. After that, once you boot it up, it will boot from your NVMe. You can remove your SD card once you're done, so you have an understanding. I'm going to hit the start from the NVMe, and it's going to do something from the back end. Everything is done. Default boot device, you can see it's confirmed. Click OK, and now tap finish. Would you like to reboot now? If you want to reboot now, go ahead reboot. Or if you want to know and probably poke around and probably you need to shut it down and remove the SD card, do it. I'm going to hit the yes button, and I will be back after the reboot. Okay, I'm booting my Raspberry Pi 5. Ooh, look at this. Everything connected. You can see I got new stuff to my desktop. So now how do I check whether this boot from the NVMe SSD? So we're going to go back to my CLI command. I'm going to type lsblk. Now if you remember, before boot firmware came from my Raspberry Pi SSD card. This is the SSD card. Now after all this configuration, now the boot firmware coming from NVMe drive. So that's mean my NVMe Raspberry Pi booting from NVMe drive. So that's cool. Let me see if I can eject my SD card. I just eject my SD card. Failed to eject. Blah blah blah. Command line eject. Exit and 0 exists. Eject, unable to eject. So how? Yeah. So I'm going to come again. I'm going to eject this. I'm going to reboot. I'm going to shut it down, and I'm going to eject. I'm going to show you again with the only the NVMe drive. Okay, I just booted my Raspberry Pi 5 after I remove my micro SD card. Now I'm going to type lsbl. Oops. Let me type lsblk to make sure. Now you can see in this screen I can see only my NVMe drive. Now I cannot see my micro SD card because it's removed. So this is confirmed that Raspberry Pi OS boot from NVMe drive, which is my Samsung NVMe drive 250 gigabyte drive, which I got from my laptop. Now this will give you more speed, more powerful to your Raspberry Pi 5 if you want to do more projects. Believe me, when you do some stuff, you will notice how powerful your Raspberry Pi 5 right now. Now if you want to change it back to SD card, you need to change the configuration settings, otherwise you're not going to boot from the SD card. Or if you want to have more micro NVMe drive, make sure you have an external adapter, which I already show my previous videos I brought from Amazon. You can use those external adapter to install any OS and plug in back to your Raspberry Pi 5. Okay, that's all for this video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. It will help me to grow my channel. Yes, you can subscribe to my channel. Also, there's a thank you button. You can donate any amount. That also helpful to grow my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on my next video.